Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Domino Effect. I'm Dominique, and I'm CEO of DominoFX Group and the Domino Effect. And welcome. If you're here, you're a doer, you're an action taker, you are an executioner in a good way, right? You execute, right? You're here because you have a business, you're starting a business, you're growing a business, excuse me, and you are looking for longevity, the best way to do so. More importantly, you're looking for capital, right? So that's why you're here, because you have questions and maybe they're not getting answered, right, guys? Maybe you've been to your bank and the bank said no. Most businesses that go to their bank are getting a decline. So that's 85, 90% of businesses, especially diverse businesses. Diverse businesses, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, Black, Brown, Asian, all right, they're getting denied. And listen, here's another thing. Here's another statistic that'll blow your mind, right? Women are one of the fastest growing are the fastest growing demographic of people starting businesses, especially Black women, yet they cannot get access to funding. So women are receiving 50% less approval rates than male counterparts. Diverse businesses are in trouble, right? Ownership is in trouble. Okay, generational wealth is in trouble. Knowledge, financial literacy, all right? We need all of these things. I believe in the power of economics. I believe it's the best way to change our situation, guys. So that's why we're here. We're here to assist you, help you, because our mission is to help businesses get financing, but also to provide you with the tools and the resources that are going to help you sustain long term. All right. So we're not just a funding and financing platform, we're a financial inclusion organization. Okay. The goal is to have an entrepreneurship school in every state, because if we don't create more owners and entrepreneurships and businesses, then you know what? The big boys at the top are going to keep buying all of these small businesses. They're going to take over, and then we're going to become a nation of renters and employees rather than a nation of owners, right? And businesses. So let's move forward, because today I want to get right into it. I like to come into a meeting with purpose and leave with direction, guys. But first of all, we are trying to grow this channel. So we need to, our first goal was to hit 1,000, which we did do. So thanks to everybody for subscribing. But hey, we need to get those numbers up so that we can continue to reach as many businesses as possible. So if you are finding this video and this information helpful, then do us a favor, go ahead and like, subscribe to this channel, and make sure that you are sharing with your network so we can continue to grow. And as you subscribe, you will get all of these free resources. You'll get inside exclusive information to upcoming events that we have going on. And we'll be able to help you grow as we grow. So today I want to jump into why you're here, right? You're here so that you can get financing for your business, right? So how are you going to be able to do that, right? What are the first steps in order for you to do that? Well, we want to be able to serve you. Our goal is to serve you. It's exactly why I'm showing up on this channel, you know, stepping outside of the box. If you've watched my other videos, you know I'm not a videographer, I say that, but that's why I'm here, to share this information with you, because I believe it's so powerful, right? When I started in the alternative finance industry, I was looking at talking to talking to business owners, talking to lots of entrepreneurs. They tell me their ideas, what's going well, what's not going well, and what's incredibly hard. But the most frustrating thing was telling people that they're declined. And we partner with a lot of people in the banking industry. And so in the banking industry, when you go into a conventional bank, they actually can't even tell you what to do to fix that, right? They'll give you like a really vague answer. They can't really tell you exactly, look, like your Secretary of State record doesn't match what you put on your, on all of your paperwork on the back end. So we have to look at all of your documentation, and now I have to decline you, all of these different ways that they could have told them that they could prevent them. But that almost felt like really silly hurdles that, I saw, okay, wait, if we could share these with our clients, right? this knowledge that I'm learning with you, this knowledge that we're learning and looking at these applications with our underwriters, are we really not going to continue to not share this information so that people continue to get declined? Or can we actually do something about this? So that was the day that I was like, wait a minute, there has to be another way. And that's how we decided to come up with this platform to be able to share these resources with you and give you this so that you can make yourself attractive to lenders. That is the birth of, this credibility foundational domino effect piece, right? We're looking at your business like a creditor or like a lender, right? Have you ever wondered what things look like when you're in their seat, right? I know I have. So I know that when I went in to apply, and it's just been really frustrating, right? So I enjoy bringing the perspective of, okay, looking at your business how they do so that you can understand how they're thinking. That's really what this is about, right? And then as your business is more fundable, you get more money for your business. But not just that, right? It's not there's so many components to this, right? If you increase your fundability and your credibility, you can get better rates, you can get better terms. If our business owners came to us and they had these principles in place, we've heard that they could get lower rates, we could charge them less, you know, yeah, we'd approve them without a personal guarantee, and so on and so on and so on. So, and then this is what we've heard from the other side. So I'm just telling you, all of the benefits that what can happen when you really do look at all of the credibility and the fundability. So essentially, it's really more access to capital. So what does that mean? That means like if you have more dollars to spend, then you have more ability to grow your business. So that's what we're doing here. When you have more access to capital, you're growing it, right? You're providing jobs, you're creating a great place for people to work, you're creating teams, you're serving people in the community. Think about the impact that small businesses and entrepreneurs have. I say it all the time, 99% businesses are 99% of this economy, right? It can make a massive difference when all of this is set up. I've seen it happen, you guys, and that's why I'm doing what I do. So hang in there with me, you guys. I know that this is a lot of information, but this is all gonna make sense, okay? And we're just diving into the technical. And of course, if you need more information, then reach out directly, send me a comment, send me a direct message, give us a call. If you have more questions, I'd love to answer these. So go ahead and send them over, right? But first, I have it written down here, right? So that I make sure that I don't miss anything, right? Because there's so many important things we can't skip, right? But what are these principles that lenders and creditors are looking at when they're coming to their decision? Because they have factors that they're looking at. And there's really some core factors that they look at. And the first one is your foundation. Does your business have a solid foundation? And, many of you have probably seen, like a residential foundation, or, they're building a Costco down the street from us, they're building that up. You can see all of the engineering that goes into it as you're driving by, right? And slowly they're starting to get more of a foundation built. So it takes time to build that solid foundation, right? And then that business can scale on it. But what a lot of business owners try and do is they try to like skim past the foundation because it's kind of boring, right? And because we're all entrepreneurs and attention spans probably like about this long. But you skim past it when we really need it and then try to build this skyscraper on top of it. So if any wind comes, what happens, right? The whole building topples over. So I'm really trying to help my friends not run into brick walls. So I really talk about, the foundation, getting your EIN number, getting everything set up correctly so that the business can scale on a solid foundation. And then guess what? Creditors love to see that foundation too. Imagine if I came to you and I was like, hey, I need financing for my business, but I'm not incorporated. I don't have an address. I'm going to just give you my PO box, right? I don't have a business phone number. And None of these items are in place. I don't have an EIN or any of that, etc. But I have money. I have a really good idea. You know, how comfortable would you feel with that, right? Now, but let's flip that. Okay, now if I came to you and I was like, okay, I've got my EIN, I've got my business address, I've got my business phone number, you suddenly have more faith in me, right? I would say yes. And so would you be more willing to give me funds to grow that business? And I think overall, the answer is, of course, more comfortable. When you start really breaking it down that way, then suddenly you can see why lenders and creditors are going to react the way that they do. So solid foundation is a key part to increasing the overall fundability of the business. But another core principle of this is your credit reports, because just like an individual has a personal credit report, your business has credit reports too. So now, just by having that awareness, you are way ahead of other business owners, because there are other business owners who have no idea that they have business credit reports, just like individuals have credit reports. So this is really important to understand, because creditors are checking these reports to make their underwriting decisions. They may be using it to choose the terms, the credit limit amounts, to verify your business, but there's information out there on your business, and it is critical that you know that, so that you can look at that information, you can make sure that it's accurate. One of the scenarios that is my least favorite is that when a business owner comes to me with a decline and it states decline because of your business credit report, something negative on the business credit report. And, they're saying, I didn't even know I had a business credit report. I had no idea where to start. We're really grateful that they came to us, because we can help, right? Like, how frustrating for them, right? Maybe they got an inquiry on their personal credit report and they needed funds right away, but now they're burning time. And that's all because of something that they weren't aware of. So we bring awareness to that and helping to make sure it's established correctly and that the right information is showing, so that for that business owner, the fundability is even higher, right? And so now then you would be more accessible for, or better terms for creditors and lenders. So, and then, so the next pillar, and we're going to go quickly here, is your personal credit reports, right? So we know that there is some business credit and maybe some lending that will prove without a personal guarantee from the business owner. That exists. And we help business owners maximize on that. But, we'll be talking more about business credit later in the week. So make sure that you come back and join us for that one too. Because we're really passionate about that concept of business credit. So it's very important. But it exists where a business can get some types of lending without a personal guarantee. But there is also types of other lending that does require a personal guarantee. So you really need to be strategic about that. And first of all, acknowledge it, right? It does exist. And then if they offer it, you want to do so, but you have to do it strategically, right? There's a step-by-step way to get it done. And I've seen this so many times, like where, and that's just because you don't know what you don't know, right? And everybody makes mistakes. We are improving it, and we're entrepreneurs. That's what we do, right? But if we can help speed up that learning curve, let's apply for the business credit and business lending with a personal guarantee when it makes sense at the right time and in the right way. So that way you're making sure that you maximize the benefit. And something that a lot of business owners may do or may be tempted to do is stack a lot of the business debt on personal credit cards and not take this step or skip this step to get business credit, or just offer a personal guarantee everywhere, right? Until they have so many inquiries that they can't get any more approvals. Now they're stalled, right? Another thing is getting business credit or lending that reports on the personal credit reports as debt. And then it skews the debt to income ratios. And then it tips the scale in ways that are really gonna lock down your ability to get more financing. So let's apply for business credit and financing in the right way at the right time. And so you have to, doing this, understand how the business credit reports can impact, right? How, when using a personal guarantee at the right time and then in the right way, um, can really help separate your personal and your business. And you want to do that whenever possible. And there's strategy behind that, right? But we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay, so fourth out of five fundability principles is financials. So I get it. As a startup, it is hard to have financials. And I'm not saying that every business has to have financial statements of like profit and loss. I understand that there's phases of like starting a business, but more and more as the business grows, there are ways to dramatically increase your fundability if we understand when financials need to be there. And then what we can do at the beginning to make sure that we're primed for creating those financial statements when it's the right time. So an example that we have is a guy who was running a restaurant and he wanted to expand, but he was using his personal to run all of the business. And it was really inhibiting his ability to get the amount that he needed, right? So we were able to kind of offset some of those expenses and help him so that he could get the commercial real estate. So we talk about financials as in preparing for the future, right? Okay, so last but not least, the application process, right? Applying at the right time, at the right way, with the correct information. Rule of thumb we have to talk about is always put correct information on the application. Putting fraudulent information on the application is against the law. Don't do that. So we have seen applications where that has happened, where there have been falsified applications. Guys, they will pursue you, they will double check. It's not a good situation. So we just want to call that out and put that head on. Make sure that correct information's on your application and that it matches everything on the foundation, because it makes creditors a lot more comfortable when they can verify the information that you are putting on your application. It makes them less nervous, right? And think about that. We're putting ourselves in the shoes of the lender. Wouldn't you feel more comfortable, right? All right, so let's keep going. These are the factors that lenders, creditors may look at when they're making their decision. So therefore, it's going to impact your overall fundability. Each factor may impact a lender or creditor's decision. So the more factors in place, the more fundable a business is. So what I mean by that is that you don't have to have all of these fleshed out, right? We are entrepreneurs too, right? We understand that, time it's hard to find time, right? But when you set the business up correctly, these are the things that you have to have in order. And when you have some of these set up, and there's other ones that you can kind of work on throughout time. Um, if you're not ready for one step, that's okay. We'll get to it. But for now, just know you do have options for where you currently stand. But the more factors in place, the more fundable a business is. One thing that I want to talk about is fundability factors. They change constantly, right? They change over time. They react to the economy. And so we have a team that works hard to stay on top of that. They're connecting every week with vendors, with our lenders, to make sure that we're staying on top of, where everything is currently. But it may sound really complex, but we do our best to make it really simple as possible. So do stick with us, because we try to make it as simple as possible so that you can put your best foot forward. But those are some of the fundability factors that credit issuers and lenders are looking at. And when you do put your best foot forward and you're prepared and you utilize this system, then it does just increase, your ability to get the financing that you need sooner rather than later. Okay, so let's go over some examples with like your business address. If you do, the right thing, and when a business is born, it's just like when a baby is born, they get a birth certificate, right? When a business is born, you get your birth certificate when you register with the Secretary of State. When you're doing that, you get a business address. Instead of getting a PO box, right? In which they do get thousands of fraudulent applications, from businesses trying to hide where they're doing business. Make sure that you're using a physical address. That's a fundability factor that makes them feel much more comfortable. We want them to feel more comfortable because when they feel comfortable, they lend money, right? So that is one example of the foundation. Another example is the business phone number. If a creditor wants to call and talk with you, it's great to have a business phone number in which they can do that. And a business phone number that's your cell phone or your personal, they'll look it up. I've seen it where they can see it's attached to your T-Mobile or your AT&T, and that can be a red flag. So you want to make sure that they're having a smooth experience when they're looking it up, right? And then I talked about this already, a business bank account, right? They feel more comfortable when you're actually running your transactions through a business bank account. And, I know that other people use Venmo or PayPal now, but you have to make sure that you're not leaving it there, you're depositing it into your business bank account, okay? By running your transactions through this business bank account, it really helps open up the door to more financing, to more options, right? And that's the whole goal. That's what we want to do, right? And your EIN, the birth certificate, just like when the baby is born, they get the social security number. A business gets an EIN number. It's part of the process. And it signifies to the IRS, hey, here's another taxpayer, but that's a whole nother discussion. But that makes the business legitimate and shows that it has a good foundation. So those are just some of the tools to create a solid foundation. And then as I talk through those, some of those aren't super complicated. They're not too hard to understand. I wanted to make that as simple as possible. Industry is another one, right? There are some industries where they've continued to get businesses that maybe they've had a lot of issues with, right? Or industries that have experienced a lot of up and downs, right? Real estate, transportation. So we want to be aware of that and be thorough and honest on your applications, but also be aware of the right NAICS codes, right? You don't want to pick the highest code to like scream it out on your application. That's the foundation, creating that solid foundation, right, for the business. And then, like I said, you have these business credit reports and awareness that they exist, making sure that the correct information's on them and that they're established. Dun and Bradstreet, Experian business, Equifax business. Knowing all of these can dramatically increase your fundability. And know that you're constantly evolving and constantly growing. But one thing I want to point out that's really important is that business credit and personal credit are very different, night and day. Okay. And like I said, we're going to go over that later in the week because it's one of those areas where if we make assumptions that business credit works just like personal credit, then we've got trouble because they are so different, because it could mean that late payments are going to report on your business credit where they wouldn't have on your personal. So please come to the next training so I can share all of that with you. Again, application process, making sure that you apply at the right time in the right way, and you're putting the correct information on the application, that it matches the information on your foundation, and that you have financials that are compiled and that everything checks out. So that is the fundability principles. And we have a whole fundability chart that we'll go into on our webinar that we have coming up on the 11th. So if you're interested in attending that one, make sure that you sign up, because we'll be doing that in conjunction with the chamber, and that will be April 11th. So where does it all connect, right? And this gets me excited just thinking about it, because this is where it is very powerful. I would encourage you all to, listen to these tools and these resources that we give you about our credit issuers, our lenders, because what we were trying to do is understand, right? And applying for the financing that you need the most at the right time. But you have to have a blueprint and a plan, right? And know like, okay, hey, this vendor is going to be the right starting point for me, and then I'm going to work my way through. And we also here at DominoFX Group, we do that with our customers. But I want to plant the seed with you to keep that in mind, to have a game plan. Because as I mentioned, if you're including your personal guarantee, those inquiries, it can go through the roof and it can really stop your ability to get financing. So have a game plan, and then know that DominoFX Group, we have a team that is always here to help with that. And then I know that I've already said this, but not all of these factors have to be in place for an approval, okay? We have those overachievers, the ones that have their business cards, they've got their website. They spend time building everything around their business except for the business itself. Don't get trapped in that hole. It's important to get the important factors like the foundation in place. And then from there, let's apply for the credit and the lending that you can apply for right away, and then continually improve your fundability. So, as individuals, as businesses, it's our goal to continually grow and evolve. And so make sure this fundability is growing with you, because the more factors that you get in place, the more your fundability increases, and then the more access to capital that you have. So keep that in mind. More funding. What does that mean? Well, sometimes I have clients that get obsessed with like just getting capital, but we have to tie it all home, right? And and I want to hear about what you guys do. Please share your stories. I love hearing all of these stories from each of you. You may feel a little bit silly, but we're all trying to be really brave and grow. So please do share what it is that you do, because your stories are inspiring. But what happens when a business gets more funding, right? Ask yourself, what could this do for my business? What could I accomplish? If I can start getting access to these computers on credit instead of dishing out the cash right away, and then use that money for marketing, start bringing in more customers. What does that mean? I'm serving more customers. Right now I can hire more team members. I'm able to scale up the business and then reach your goals, your dreams. So that is such a positive impact for each of us. I love entrepreneurship. Like I said, it inspires me every single day. That's why we have the domino effect, and that we can have the ability to do more. We want to help business owners who are doing incredible things. So I am excited to hear your stories and very grateful that you're here. And if you like this channel, if you like this information, then make sure that you subscribe if you found this helpful, and make sure that you come to the training.